Oh, hey there. I was just admiring this fine artwork done by Canterbury community that goes along with our project because we are interviewing the students about what they think about the arts and the funding of it. Although some people did not want to be interviewed. Are we going?
Yeah.
Alright. Where do you think the funding for the arts comes from?
I don't want to do this now. Sorry, I'm not only listening.
Okay.
Some also did want to be interviewed and were very, very willing about it. Where do you think the funding of the arts comes from?
Of the arts.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like, do you think it's private funding or the government?
Oh, you mean like for like the government as like whole? You don't mean like here?
No, I mean like in school in general and like
for
the civic
public
theater and like everything.
Oh. I have no idea where it should come from. I've never been asked that question before. Sorry.
Well, it comes from the government. They have a special fund for it. So would you be against funding for the arts by the government?
It's not as high of a priority, I think. I mean, like, we should be focusing more on, like, say, education or healthcare or stuff like that. I mean, honestly, for me, the arts are really down on the priority list. But, that's just what I think.
And do you think the arts would be important in the schooling environment?
I think it is important, though. I think it's just, like, giving students more options to look into, because I know that like you need a lot of options, like looking out like what do you want to do when you get older. But I don't know, there's other places besides just the school that you can be exposed to that.
Yeah.
So.
And you said that you think the government should use their money better. So do you think private funding would be better for the arts instead of
Yeah, private funding. If the government could stay out of it, that would be great.
Alright. And then, well, if you don't think the government should fund the arts, where do you think the money should go to?
Like other programs, I guess. Like I don't know. Just other programs that I've already mentioned, I guess. More time, I don't know, for like healthcare or something. But I'm not so sure about that. That needs to be reformed as well. But, yeah.
Alright.
Where do you think the funding for the arts comes from?
I think the funding in the arts comes from private donations, very little from the government, and a lot of it from private big companies and private small companies, and foundations.
And are you for or against the funding of the arts by the government?
I'm definitely for it because I think when people get out of school, the arts are a great avocation for them. It's a great leisure activity for them to be involved in it and also to go see it. I think it's a very important part of our culture.
And do you believe the arts are important in the school environment? Why or why not?
Absolutely, yes, because there's more studies find that when kids get out of school, if they've had fine arts in their schooling, they're under, what do you call it, high school years, and that they will eventually get into the arts as they get older.
And do you? Sorry.
It gives you something to do.
And it broadens your horizon,
Right.
something that you'd never have
Stretches
at home.
your brain.
Right, stretches your brain.
A different part of your brain.
Yeah.
Yes.
And do you think private funding or donations of the arts is a good thing or bad thing? And why or why not?
I think it's a good thing. I think people should, big companies and the foundations should fund the arts. I think because it's for the people,
It's just
from
going to
the
benefit
people.
everybody, right?
I agree.
And if you don't think the government should fund the arts, well, you do, but if they don't, where do you think the money should go?
The money that they would use for to fund the
Yeah.
arts.
Still go into education of some sort.
Okay.
Just keep it in education.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Can we go?
Yeah.
Alright. Where do you think the funding for the arts comes from?
The government.
Alright, well, you're right there, but it's not all of it. It's private funding. So, are you for or against the funding of the arts?
I'm for.
Alright. And then, so do you think private funding would also be good for the arts, or do you think the government should just take care of it all?
I don't think the government should take care of all of it. I guess I agree with the private funding part of it.
And you said you do agree with it, but if you didn't agree with government funding the arts, where do you think they should put the money?
I don't know, they should spread it out in the area. Put it, I don't know, not just in the government, other places, schools and businesses. I don't know.
Well, you just mentioned schools, so you think the arts are important in the school environment?
I think they are, yeah.
Why or why not?
I don't know, it's good to have in the school, I guess, along with everything else. Kinda sound like an idiot, don't I?
Alright, well, thank you.
Yeah. What class is this for?
Cool little camera.
Where do you think the funding for the arts comes from?
Where do I think the funding for the arts comes from? Well, the National Endowment for the Arts. Like at our school, we get it from school, obviously. Different organizations like the Fort Wayne Dance Collective, let's say, gets their money from, there's an umbrella organization called Arts United. And so they get their money from there. Arts United, I believe, gets money from the NEA, but they also, Arts United does fundraising to fund all of those organizations in its umbrella, I think.
And are you for or against the funding of the arts by the government?
I am absolutely for it.
Why?
Because the arts are a crucial part of the fabric of this society, and that's why.
And then would you also agree that private funding or donations are a good thing for the arts?
Yes, there's always been private funding as well, yeah.
And obviously you said you do think the government should fund, but if they wouldn't fund, where do you think the money should go to?
Oh. Do I have to answer? I mean, do I have to go along with that supposition? Where should the money go to? Schools, art programs.
Alright, well you mentioned schools, so do you think the arts are important in the schooling environment?
Yes.
How so?
Again, I mean, I think that for a person to be fully human, they need to be exposed to a wide range of things. And art is one of the things I think that makes us uniquely human.
Alright, thank you very much.
Okay, now you gotta blur me
We will.
and change my voice.
Okay.
I don't know if we can change your voice, but we can
All right.
clear